Hey everyone, today I want to focus on really important point. Everybody keeps saying that your company is not data ready, construction is not data ready, but nobody help tell us like what it means and what you need to do get maximum out of this AI thing. You believe it or not, but what you can do today to get maximum out of it. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, right? So we all know, like you believe it or not, AI is everywhere. Your company is using it, your people are using it. There's tools like Claude Code, Trunk Tools, Hardline, Actuality. They're doing fantastic work, and there's so much penetration there, right? Even like ChatGPT kind of tool, even if you bought a license or not, people are using it every day to write email, to refine proposals, to do a lot of different things, right? So there are basically two types of tool, right? One that automate a process. Hardline is a good example because it can capture your voice notes through phone calls, and then it creates structure field notes and whatnot, right? So this is a fantastic tool you can deploy in your company, but there are other kind of tools, right? That requires years long understanding of your company's data, your company's procedures to extract value out of it, right? If you are doing some kind of estimating and using AI tools to do estimating, that's the thing, that bucket that it falls into. If you're writing RFIs, if you're writing proposals, that's the bucket it looks like. And when people say data cleanliness, data ready, that's the part they're focusing on, right? So what is clean data? Clean data, right? You would think like if I had my files organized by my department, I removed duplicates, I standardized naming across everything, and everything is digital. It is in either Procore, it's in Microsoft, it is in Google. So one click and everything can be, it's in digitized format. So my data is ready. That's not what it means. And I think the truth is very different. What it means actually is you don't have outdated information. If you're using pricing information and you have quotes from like past 10 years, if you use that to write today's bid, you're going to lose that project. Even if you can win on the pricing basis, you're going to lose because you are using 10-year-old information. That's what it means. If you had done a project and it looked good on the paper, but you lost a ton of money because you made so much mistake, either in proposal, in the work, in the methods, the people you hire, and if you use that project as a basis for creating new work plans, new bid estimates, new proposals, you're gonna most probably lose that project because you need to clean that data. And that's what it means to have a data that is aware of the mistakes that you made. And that's why that data needs to come from the people who know like this is the mistake that should not be repeated. Think about it. If you have a wrong basis, wrong foundation, wrong data set, and you are training AI on it or using in tools like Claude Code, you are just amplifying the mistakes that you made in the past in new project. So that's what it means by clean data. You need to remove the data or make AI understand these were the mistakes we did. These are not the final outcome, right? So going into little depth, what is clean data? What is this data sanitization means? It has two layers, accurate and context aware. And true data sanitization means that you have removed conflict. If there was 5 RFI versions, you have the latest one. You have flagged mistakes. You have verified technical knowledge by expert, and you have prevented error replication. Without verification, AI doesn't learn from your mistakes. It automates and it amplifies them for your project. So these two layers, this is your verification layer. It lives within your company. This is where your heart of your AI is. It is your company's knowledge base. It is your company's IP. This is your company's years of knowledge and expertise. That's your verification layer. So if I take the analogy of software, when you're writing code and you're writing something in the IDE, which is where you write the code, it has linters. It can identify the code's grammar mistake. It can identify the syntax mistakes, and it can go and validate your code. So even before you run the code, These are the tools that can tell AI that you made a mistake. When it's writing the code, it can tell the AI that it has made a mistake. There's no or nothing equivalent exists in construction. And everything on top of it is a subjective decision. So if there's no, or there's most of the decisions are subjective, how do you create this verification layer? This is the IP, this is the moat that the construction companies need to build. And that's what is going to give them the advantage. It's going to bring them forward to build a verification layer that's built on their years of knowledge, and that can verify the outputs of the AI, right? It's an objective layer that can verify the outputs from the AI. There's two layers that you need to build. Okay, it's very practical. I'm giving you a very practical playbook. You need to do two layers. There's a knowledge layer and there's a grammar layer. What is the knowledge layer? Your past project, what are the lesson learned? What was it profitable? Why it was so profitable? What was the feedback from the client, from your subcontractor? What are your current people? What are the certifications you have within the company? What are the technical approved methods? What is the latest technical things that you are doing in the company? Your final RFI versions, right? There's an iteration of RFIs on a drawing version, but you end up on the final version. Why did you end up on that final version? What was the mistakes? Why it wasn't the final first time? What are the verified costs when you're talking to subcontractor? What is the final cost that you got for a bid? You need to take that into account and build that knowledge layer. That's your clean data. What you need to exclude: unanalyzed failures, former employees, very simple, superseded standards, draft unknown errors, and unverified codes, right? You need to exclude, and there could be tons in these categories, but you need to understand what is your knowledge layer that you need to build out. You need to audit data. How do you build this knowledge layer? You don't need to wait for any approval, right? When you're working, you need to see what is the latest data that I can use, what is the correct data, and then you assign owners. If a pre-construction manager is doing bid analysis, he could be the owner for this kind of work, right? Superintendent can be the owner of field work, right? So you need to assign owner, and everything that could, when you drop in the AI's folder, that's going to be the basis of AI's knowledge base. They need to approve it, and you need to make sure somehow you need to track that if that is the document that you dropped in that folder, it gets outdated, you need to replace it. The second layer is the grammar layer. What is the grammar layer? It could be very trivial, like your template format, your headers, your footers, your signature, your branding, your compliance. You need to build out the document templates for everything that you are doing in the company, so AI can learn. What is the technical standards you are following? What is the contextual awareness? And how do you put human in the loop? And I think human in the loop is part of the grammar layer. Technical template and formal compliance, technical accuracy, engineering calculations. If you're using AI to do some calculations, can you use multiple sources to verify it? And can you put some expert in the loop also so they can verify it, right? For example, AI, if you're lifting a TBMI and AI specify welds for the TBM lift, are those weld standards current? Do they match engineer of record before requirement? And can you check against certain specification? So if AI is putting that knowledge or that part in the document, immediately your grammar's verification layer need to spin and verify those points against these different standards. Contextual correctness. This is very important, right? And this is very subjective too. For example, you're taking daily reports, and superintendent said in whatever the form or in their file that we got 4 concrete trucks on the site, and we poured the foundation, but originally 5 trucks were scheduled. 5th didn't arrive. So giving the information that 4 trucks on the side is not as much important as telling why the 5th truck was not there. That's the contextual correctness that you need to bring. You need to bring that knowledge for everything. There has to be that contextual grounding that this sounds wrong. AI is not going to understand that. That's your years of knowledge, right? You need to build that into your knowledge layer. And finally, human in the loop. And this is so important. Like coding, yeah, I think few people are involved, some people are involved, but construction is very different. Like every process, every work, every document, there are like 10 different owners of that document. So if you're using AI to write, then their section, it needs to be verified by different people who are part of that document. And they need to take ownership of whatever work it falls into their own purview. They need to verify it. This is so important. And that's another layer that every document goes into it. You need to identify who are the people that it needs to go through. Today, we do that, right? Before you send a submittal, it goes through 5 different people through email, but that need to be standardized, because as we realize or we depend more and more on AI, then this becomes standard. AI need to know the final verification layer, the final checklist need to have that these document was verified by this, and that's what construction companies need to estimate. Some real examples really quick. You got really great promise like this bid estimate. This estimating tool is gonna estimate so and so, but you got the results and they look very bad. Can you pinpoint what went wrong? And that's your grammar layer. It can identify that the AI got the scale wrong, it got the unit wrong, it missed some scope, and before it even goes to a human reviewer, it needs to see and verify all these different things, right? And that's part of the grammar layer for estimation, right? Scale verification, unit validation, scope completeness, drawing concurrency, spec cross-reference, reasonableness, and final review. And finally, this is the job of the construction company. It is not on startups. This is not on big companies like Microsoft. It is not on Procore. This has to be done by a construction company. It doesn't mean that you cannot start leveraging AI in your everyday process until this is done. It definitely does not mean that, because this is not a 1-year project. This is not a 2-year project. This is 20-year project. You start doing that in the parallel, right? After 2-3 years, you'll have that knowledge graph. You'll have that grammar completeness. So when you run these AI processes on your documents, on your processes, you'll get like exponential benefit. But the steps start today. And you cannot outsource it. You cannot hire a company and say, hey, come in and we'll do this. Yeah, they can show you the path, but you need to get your people involved. Those are the knowledge worker who's going to verify the correctness of this thing. So you need to involve those. This is a false promise, like, hey, let's connect with Procore. All your data is digital. It is sitting in a digital bucket. We already use digital drive, so we can use it. That's a false promise. You cannot just automate that in one few hours. It is a years of process, and that's what you need to do. All right, so start building today. Get some tools. I don't care what tools. Get some you can use. There are a lot of different tools in the market. You can get whatever tool suits your fantasy and start building, start using them. But think in the long term game. What is your long-term game? That you need to build this knowledge layer. You need to sanitize your data. You need to put the successful methodology. It is as if you are teaching a child how all the secrets of your company, right? So you can leverage it. And this is not one-way street, right? It's not like you are teaching AI. It's other way around too. So you need to make sure you need to have right audits, right? When you're building these things, you need to know who are the current experts and every data set that goes into the AI, who approved it. Because if they made a mistake, we need to modify them, because these are the people still on the job. They are driving a lot of decisions. So if they made a mistake and somehow through another project we found out that the knowledge piece that they had submitted is wrong or it's not optimum, then we need to educate them. And that's the power. Like, everything is connected. It's not one versus the another. It's a combined human and AI equilibrium, right? It's a synergy where people are teaching AI and AI is teaching people. So that's what we need to do. All right, that's what it means by clean data. Everything else, it's not. Everything else is not. That's what it is. So start building today. Bye.